Okay, just want to make a quick video kind of covering the pretty well-known scams as far as like the problems that people run into because there's so many people that like seem to trade up, lose everything, trade up, lose everything. It's very common, unfortunately, this game. So I wanted to talk about some of the more basic ones. So one of them is wrap tends to get manipulated. So for really big items, it's so Divine Shadow, Enigma, Champ Scythe, Aegis, those kinds of items, they tend to manipulate prices, which they do it by selling really, really low. So Divine's worth like 25 mil, I think, right now. Uh, but people will sell it to like for like 1 gem or like 2 mil or 5 mil to their friend. The problem with it is, okay, first scared me. So people will sell really cheap to their friend, and then the daily reset at 6 p.m. Central will show that as the actual price of the item. So instead of you seeing your divine at 25 mil when you look in your inventory, like hover over it, it'll be like 2.5. So then people will panic sell it, thinking, oh, divine's dipping really hard. Let me sell it off for like 10, 15, or like 20, because they think the item's actually tanking and they need to be scared. But it's just people manipulating the price and trying to take advantage of new traders. So if you look at the wrap index for really any big mythic, it gets manipulated pretty often. If you see anything, any sales going for less than 10% wrap, it's completely manipulated. If you see half wrap, it's either manipulated or someone being really dumb. So it just depends. As far as other scams that are really common, the booth scam was a big issue a long time ago. So people would put up their item for, let's say they had 20 items. They would say they're giving out free stuff to everyone in lobby. This got fixed, but they'd say they're giving out free items. They'd put up, let's say, 3 or 4 items for 1 gem. Then they'd look at whoever's around their booth, whatever the richest is, or whatever the richest people are, they would put something up for their whole gems. So let's say I was one of the people at the booth and I was instant buying the items with everyone. They'd put something at 15 mil. I would buy it and then they would get 15 mil for their common. So that was a big issue a long time ago. People would get scammed out of, all their gems super easily because of the instant buying. It was a big issue around Christmas because people were selling the legendaries really cheap. So the scammers would go and buy a bunch of the really cheap Christmas items as stock to do it. Because if they're paying, let's say, 1,000 to 3,000 per item, and they manage to get someone once, then they make a ton of money. So luckily they fixed that because now whenever you go to a booth and you hit buy, let me just go to a booth really quick. So whenever you go to an item and you hit buy, so that little cooldown, how it kind of goes from right to left, this is a cooldown that they added. So you can't buy the item during that. So you can't instant buy anymore, which stops new players from getting scammed because they have to wait for that delay. Now, if someone's giving out free stuff, then you can look at the price and you can stop yourself from buying, which makes it much easier for people to avoid getting scammed. And then as far as trade scams go, the main one people do is so both players need to ready for a trade to be completed. I need to ready, the other person needs to ready. The and then if I change my offer, then it will unready both of us. So if you pull something down during the 5 seconds after you both hit ready, it'll stop the ready and stop the countdown. You both have to re-ready. The way people would abuse this system is they would put everything in. Both people would check the other side to see that that's what the other person said. They would both ready. Then the scammer would take down one of their expensive items. Most of the time they'll do it, they'll put like 20 or 30 items up just to confuse the person. Let's say there's 3 items that hold all of the value and the rest is just junk. They'd take out one of their 3 valuable items. So let's say, what's a good example? let's say they have two divine or two amethysts and an Eclipse X, and then they have a bunch of random like godlies and some gems and a bunch of other clutter. They would unready the X or they would unready one of the amethysts. They keep all the junk up besides that, so it looks the same if they don't do a full like check over what happened. And then they would say, "Oh, it must have just bugged," and then both people would ready, and then the trade would be completed with one of the big valuable items missing. The way they would fix this is they would increase the time for a trade to process by, let's say, 5 seconds, so it's 10 seconds to complete a trade, and then add a estimated wrap total at the top of each window. So whenever you pull up the trade tab and it's like on the left and right, you would have a combined wrap next to the ready button of each person's offer. So then if someone unreadied, they took out, you know, the X, you would see the estimated wrap for the offer would be 7 mil lower. So no one would fall for it because you'd immediately check the wrap thing. Then, of course, the way that people would counter that is they would put an A grade in or A plus grade, or they'd start putting in like S grade godlies. But then it becomes a lot more steps to scam, so it makes it that much harder to fall for. So I'm hoping they do something like that. If they don't want to do I don't know whatever is easier, but if they don't want to increase the time it takes to complete a trade, or they don't want to add the estimated wrap, because I don't know how code works, maybe that's very difficult to add in, then the other option would be to add a second ready stage. So whenever you play Warframe and you do trading in Warframe, both people would put their items up, they hit ready to lock in the items, and then you would click accept. So it's a ready and then accept on trades. So it would be like having a ready to get all the items up in deathball trading, and then after all the items are readied, so everything's locked in, then you would both hit accept instead of it just being one ready. Which again, new players are going to get scammed regardless if they don't know what they're doing, and people take advantage of them. But I'm saying it's sadly very common in trading games for people to use like lies, deceit, everything they can just because they're greedy and they don't care about anyone else. It's very unethical, I guess is the best way to say it. People just don't care about others when it comes to trading games, unfortunately. It's very much a me first thing, and people don't care about helping others. At least a lot of them don't. So if they do either of those changes or something like that that makes it more difficult to do trading scams, that would help the game a lot because it's very common, unfortunately. I think people know about it more now, but like around Christmas, that was very common. A lot of people tried to do it. I've had a good chunk try to do it on me, and I just kind of laugh at them because it's like I'm not going to fall for it, but I don't know, the people aren't very bright usually. Uh, Also for the gem booth one where they put the items up for one gem and then put something up for someone's whole gem. If as soon as they scammed, they would leave so they didn't get reported. So if you're gonna do any sort of big trade or you're gonna buy stuff off of a booth and they're doing like a free gems thing, I would recommend recording your screen just in case. So mostly for trades because of the trading scams. If you're a new player and you aren't experienced with trades and you're doing very big trades, so let's say you're at like 1 to 3 mil wrap and you're gonna do a trade that's like almost your whole inventory, be very, very careful because the ready unready one gets a lot of new players. In the same, if you're some unethical person watching this and you're like, great, here's all the ways I can scam people. It's like just report, like if you're a good person and you're trading, record your stuff more and report these people so they get banned. There's some way you can get insurance, but like actually try to record these people and make it so you're safe from them. I'm posting this for awareness and I'm hoping that they fix the trading scam by either doing it like Warframe or some other method. I just gave two ideas because that's the two ways I can think of that would improve it at least. Because if you add 2 steps of readying or you add extra time, it makes it a lot easier to check things over to make sure that the offer is correct. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as all the scams and stuff goes, besides people giving false info. So whenever you're in a trade or you're going to buy something off of someone, never trust their information. It depends on the person, and it depends completely on their reputation of whether they're trustworthy. If they're your friend, they don't deserve your trust just by being your friend. There's a lot of people I know that have gotten scammed by their friends, and then they get unadded or blocked immediately after they get scammed. With trading games, you don't really know people's intentions, and you don't know if they care more about people or money. A lot of trading game players care more about money than people. So it's just kind of sad. But trust is something that's always bad to have in these kinds of games. Same like doing the trust trades that I've done. It isn't smart, it's a risk. It's not a good idea. Like the holding divine shadow video and that kind of stuff. There's someone that got scammed for their amethyst. They gave it to someone, and then that person gave it to someone, and then they lost their amethyst. And then there's been a bunch of those kinds of like trust trades where someone gets scammed or they run with the item. So just any sort of offer also where they say they'll pay you later or something like that, just tell them you'll hold the item for them till they actually have what they're going to give you. Don't do any sort of like, oh, I'm going to give them 10 mil and they're going to give me 5 mil now and 5 mil later. You're never going to see the 5 mil later. They're just going to block you and run with the item. So just, it's bad. Just don't do it. Don't trust people. Don't assume that they have your best intentions or your best interests at heart, especially if you don't know them. And if you know them, are you sure you really know them well enough to trust them? Because that's a big step as far as trading games go. It's very sketchy trusting others. So I just wanted to make a quick video as far as that goes. I was talking to Arky about making something related to scam videos just because it's all the people that have been around a long time know the scams, but the new players don't really know what to look for. And when trading first came out, I was very sketched out by trading because I didn't trust it. But if you're trading, all you do is you put your items up, you check that they have the correct items up, you hit the ready button, and in 5 seconds it completes. Tax will also be deducted from the gems. So just keep that all in mind. I hope it helps. If you have any questions or there's any scams I didn't cover, then put them in the comments. But that's pretty much everything besides like the dupe glitches that have been happening and are relatively common. But that's more for like S grade mythics, so I wouldn't worry about it too much if you're trading smaller stuff. But yeah, have a good one. Hope it helps.